Let's pivot the conversation to this program, Next Chapter, that you guys began several years ago right now. It's a fascinating program. You're adding 7 new companies to the list of people who are or companies that are joining, backing this program to effectively support folks who have been formerly incarcerated. Tell us about how this began.
The origin, I think we were really inspired by an organization called The Last Mile, which operates in San Quentin and now I think many other prisons. I went there in 2015 or 2016, and I was speaking to a group of men who were in prison at that time. So they were not formally incarcerated, they were incarcerated, and they were learning to code. And what was amazing to me is, in some cases, these are people who hadn't previously used a smartphone because they had been in prison making Facebook apps. And the dirty secret among software engineers all over the place is there's a lot of looking stuff up online trying to solve engineering problems. They didn't have access to the internet. So this incredible set of hurdles was in front of them, and people were learning to be real software engineers. The challenge was there was no real facility for helping them get out of these programs where they had been trained and actually into companies. There's a lot of obstacles, not least of all internal culture and a sense of inclusivity. Even us, as a very progressive, forward-thinking Bay Area-based company, you might feel like everyone deserves another opportunity or something like that. And then when you're confronted with the reality of someone coming to work with you, it's, geez, what do they do? Or did anyone get hurt? And getting around both kind of the regulatory and legal loopholes and getting around the kind of reluctance that people can have, honestly, has been a bit of a challenge, but we've had a lot of support, a lot of partners in this, and it's working.
Kenyatta, can you speak to this? Because I do know lots of business leaders who, in truth, if they got a resume that said that the person was formerly incarcerated, it might get moved to the other file relatively quickly. How do you change that mindset, and how should recruiters think about that?
Well, thanks for having me. I think it's important for anyone who's thinking about hiring somebody who's formerly incarcerated, for them to get proximate to the issue of justice reform. It's really important for people to understand the kind of challenges that people leaving incarcerated settings face every day. There's challenges with housing, there's challenges with employment opportunities, quite frankly, and all of this revolves around fear. I think there's just very little understanding and representation in the media of people who are formerly incarcerated. And when we are represented, it's usually a news story about, an ex-felon who's gone on to do something wrong. And so, these are the images that a lot of people hold on to, and it leads them to being fearful and suspicious of our community. And ultimately, I think it leads to basically underestimating the people that leave, formerly incarcerated settings, or excuse me, that leave incarcerated settings.
Kenyatta, what kind of diligence, quote unquote, diligence, should a prospective employer do differently around a formerly incarcerated person relative to somebody who hasn't been?
Well, again, it's important for them to get proximate to the issues. And so I would encourage them to call on, folks that can help them understand the population. Call Next Chapter. We'd be happy to help.
Okay. Stuart, Kenyatta, we appreciate you being with us. It's a great program. It's fascinating. We'd love to follow the progress of it. Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.